everyone. Welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Cindy. Cindy says, I know you already have a lot of videos about this, and I've been watching them for about 4 years now, but I still struggle with binge eating amongst other things. I feel so hopeless. It's improved a bit, but I definitely don't feel free from it or even close. I know experience is constantly fluctuating, but it feels like my life revolves around it. I have many moments where I feel free, but then I'm caught up again and binging is all I can think about. And then I just do it. I no longer feel the regret or self-hate I once did, but I'm still annoyed over how much mental energy, time, money, etc. I spend binging. Not to mention it makes me sick. Most of all, I wish I could focus on other things like watching a movie or working, for example. But my thoughts often go in circles with binging and I can't focus on things like reading. Everything feels numbed and like I don't live in that moment fully. Even when I go periods of time without binge eating, I still don't feel free from it in my mind. I just want to move on with my life and have more energy for other things, but it feels hopeless even though I know it's possible. Thank you so much for your time and your work. So, Cindy, I have so been there. When you describe how it's like you can't focus on anything else, I think anyone who's had a habit that's shown up in this way or any kind of addiction knows exactly what that feels like. It's like you just can't focus, and then our mind tells us, go do your thing, it'll feel better. And in a weird way, it does for a short period of time, right? It does kind of ground you back into something, and it brings you into the moment, and it quiets some of this stuff a little bit. So it's understandable, and it's not just you. What you're describing here is just someone with a habit that I love how you say that, you do have freedom from it. And at times it's not, it's just not that big a deal. But then when it comes in, it really kind of comes in. So what I want you to see, there's two little things I want to point out in this. One, this is so hard. I get it because your mind is saying, I just want to be free from this. And then your mind is coming in saying, here's what that should look like, or here are the ways I know I'm not free. I think about it all the time. I can't focus. I want to be able to just work and watch movies and not, spend all this money and time and energy on binging. So that's, and mine too, right? That's how our mind just reminds us, you have a real problem. You're really messed up here. Look at all the ways it's affecting you. But I want you to see that piece that's just your mind reiterating unnecessarily over and over and over what the problem is, trying to prove to you, see, you really do have a problem here, right? So that we know that, that that's how it looks and feels. But where you kind of say, I don't want to think about this all the time, and I wish my mind didn't go there so much and all of that. While that's so completely understandable, I kind of want you to take the opposite direction from that. Rather than, I shouldn't be thinking this, and I shouldn't be caught up in these feelings, and why is there so much time and energy here? That's you, in a sense, like having a lot of preference and agenda for how you should feel. Again, totally understandable, right? Because that you just want to feel free, and that just looks like freedom to you. Because if I wasn't so consumed in this, I'd feel free. So logical, Cindy. But it's also you saying, don't like this feeling, don't want that thought, life shouldn't be showing up this way, I wish my mind wasn't going there. So it's in a sense like you have a lot of agenda for how you want to feel. Let's back this up so much bigger than all that. Ultimately, what helps anyone be free of anything is when we can have this capacity to just let our psychology go where it needs to go. It's the biggest irony, right? This is the ironic way that change works, that when we aren't interfering so much with how our psychology is playing out, it just doesn't play out in the same ways that it is right now at all. So rather than like, I wish this wasn't happening, and why does my mind go there, and I try to do this and that, I'm just curious, like what you describe, you're free, and then suddenly you can't focus and you're all in it, get it, right? But even in that feeling, can you open up to that feeling? What is that feeling? What that feeling is a bunch of energy moving through your body. And then it's your mind getting mad and saying, oh no, here we go again. But your mind getting mad and saying, oh no, here we go again. That's just habitual. That's just how your mind sees it. You don't need to listen to that. There's just a feeling. There's a feeling of peace and home. And then there's a feeling of agitation. And then there's a feeling of peace and home. And then there's a feeling of agitation for every one of us in different degrees, all day, every day, forever. Just that feeling of peace and home, feeling of agitation all the time. Now, your mind is in the habit of saying agitation. Oh no, don't like it. Better go get food. That's just how you're feeling with agitation right now. The agitation isn't a problem. It always opens to peace and joy eventually. And then someone else's agitation is telling a different story. Always lets go and opens to peace and joy, home and joy, right? So see again, take you and your details out of for a second, just so you can see it more clearly and see if you can get that sense of like, wow, all that's happening is I'm okay. And then suddenly there's a rush of energy and my mind tells an old story. And then I'm okay. And then there's a rush of energy. Because when you can be in that rush of energy and like, I don't know, welcome it. Maybe that's too strong. Wave to it, say hi to it, notice it, look at it, know that it's not you, know that you're the one seeing and feeling this wave of energy, like it's occurring within you, but it's not you. It's occurring in this space that is you, but it's not you. There's a whole separation there. The more you feel okay with that agitation, and even that's a label, even that's a mind label, with that energy. The more you will feel okay with that energy without it needing to look this way or feel that way, or why is it doing this so much? The only reason you binge eat is because when you feel that, you think, can't handle this, have to make it go away. Do you see that? And that's true for everybody with any habit or addiction ever. We can't sit, we can, but we think we can't sit with a feeling. It's all it ever is. It's that simple all the time. So the more you can kind of just take all that timeline and Cindy's life and all that content out of it for a minute and just see, oh, just like everyone else, I open and then I tighten and I open and then I tighten. You know what? When I tighten, I don't need to binge eat. I'm just going to feel the tightening and then I'm going to open. Like when you can kind of see it in that way without all the details and story and all of that, it begins to totally change. I mean, this is it. This is it for everyone. And it's true whether it's a habit, an addiction, anxiety, it's all the same. Whatever we do that we think is the problem, there's a feeling behind it that in that moment we can't handle. We're just running to escape that feeling. So I would never say just sit there and feel the feeling and suffer like crazy. There's a reason we run to escape it, but it's not because the feeling's dangerous. It's because we don't understand it, because we think it can hurt us and we think it's us, and our mind goes off in these stories. The more we're able to just see it as this habitual opening, closing, this habitual energy that kicks up, that means nothing like what the story in our head is telling us, the more there's just a bit of you feel a bit grounded, and you can handle it. And it may look, Cindy, like you have some time without your habit cropping up and then it pops up and then suddenly you can't watch movies, you can't focus on work. You just be at peace with that. I mean, it just is what it is. Who cares how it shows up? But the more you can be at peace with all this opening and closing, without it meaning something about you and how hopeless life is and all of that, the more it's going to change. It's like you just feel it and you just see it and you just wave to it and there it is and okay. And then before you know it, you're on the other side of it. And it becomes a totally different thing without having to do anything in particular to beat binge eating. This has nothing to do with binge eating whatsoever. Nothing at all. I hope that makes some sense. I hope you can get a feel for that outside of the story. And again, I point to that, Cindy, because your message, I just hear it and I recognize it from so many people I work with and from myself years ago. Like it's hopeless and it looks like this and that and this is the past and this is how I feel. So much detail We want to rise above the detail and see that this is all that's ever happening. That's it. When you get more comfortable in that, there's no reason for any human to ever have a habit or addiction when we aren't afraid to feel stuff. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Cindy, for sending your question. I hope it's helpful for others. Oh, and Cindy, if you've been watching these videos for 4 years and things have gotten a little bit better, but there's a ways to go, join the Little School of Big Change. Like, get some support, or get some support anywhere. But that's why that exists. These videos are wonderful, but there's also a reason that they're pointers. But sometimes, like, we get really good at getting caught up in our heads and being in corners, and being in blind spots. So please, like, get a little personal support where you can have a conversation with me or someone else and see where you're maybe in a blind spot. It's a super affordable course, and it goes a super long way. If you've been at this on your own for 4 years, try it with a little support. I think it'd make a gigantic difference. So thanks everyone for listening. Thanks, Cindy, and I'll see you guys next week.